Hey, what's up, people? This is Angelo, and I am a survivor of life, just like all of you. Uh, I want to talk about my experience with benzodiazepines and how I was able to get off of them after an arduous uh, journey and a pursuit for many years to free myself of the burden of both Klonopin or Clonazepam and Ativan or Lorazepam. There's a number of different types of benzodiazepines out there. You might be familiar with Xanax or Onfi or, gosh, there's a lot. But the ones that I'm most familiar with are Klonopin, Clonazepam, and Lorazepam or Ativan. So in 2013, I had a number of grand mal seizures upon wakening one day in a September morning, and I had my roommates rush me to the hospital as I was starting to go into my first seizures ever. I was totally freaked out. I didn't know what was going on. Now, turns out I had a scan, and the neurologist determined that I had a brain tumor, an oligodendroglioma. Now, this isn't specific to my story of, maybe it is a little bit involved, but this is just kind of my background and how I got into beginning my journey on and off of benzodiazepines. So they initially put me on some anti-epileptic medications, which are not benzodiazepines. Benzodiazepines are anti-anxiety medications. What they do is they regulate the flow of GABA, which is it stands for, it's an acronym for GABA alpha butyric acid, and this is an acid that is secreted from your mid prefrontal cortex of your brain, as I believe, your fight or flight system of your brain. And what it does, GABA inhibits the amount of anxiety that you have, and it puts you into a calm state. And usually if you're in a meditative state or you're about to go fall asleep or relax, your brain naturally releases GABA. What benzodiazepines do is they squeeze that GABA, they get it out of your brain. They kind of allow your brain to create the chemistry to release GABA like forced. And this works great for people who have anxiety, sometimes people with chronic headaches or nerve issues, or people like myself with epilepsy. Now, it's not an anti-epileptic medication, but granted, having a primary brain tumor, the dulling of the nerve impulses definitely helped with inhibiting the onset of powerful seizures that I was experiencing early on. And for me, the problem was really sleep. A lot of people are prescribed either Klonopin or Ativan. I'll refer to them as this, but just remember Klonopin is Clonazepam and Ativan is Lorazepam. So Klonopin's usually prescribed, I believe, and I'm not an expert, but this is just from what I know and doing a lot of my own research, that in about a 0.5 milligram pill. So a 0.5 milligram pill puts you to sleep, you go to sleep. After a while, you're not really getting a full, rich sleep where your brain actually gets to reset itself. You're basically just making yourself pass out. Some similar effects to what other drugs or narcotics can do, but a benzodiazepine is unique in how it affects the GABA in your brain. So, how to get off of it? Goodness, I was taking, first I'll tell you a little bit difference between Ativan and Klonopin. Now, they're both benzodiazepines, as is Xanax and a few others that you might know. But Klonopin is different in that it has a slower onset. You feel the effects of the release of the GABA in your brain at a slower rate from when you take it to when it actually kicks in. With that, it has a longer half-life. A half-life means that the amount of time in which half of the dose that you've taken is gone from your body. So that can be usually a few days. With Lorazepam or Ativan, quickly feel the effects of it. Within minutes, the GABA has been released. You feel relaxed, you feel calm, you feel dopey. It can also immediately give you a little rush or a high, just like some people that smoke cannabis, that can make them feel amped up. But in the long run, these kind of drugs will bring you down and they will calm you down. They will lower your blood pressure and other effects. So Lorazepam has a shorter half-life. It means it stays in your system longer, but it works quicker. So people that are typically, myself, when I was on Klonopin or Clonazepam, I felt a more mild effect of this relaxed state, but it lasted longer. And this became, to me, recognized as being fogged out or under a haze. People can sense in your energy when they talk to you that you're a little bit out of it, and you're intoxicated to a certain degree. Your alcohol and cannabis work in similar ways that they can affect the GABA in your brain as well. So anything that people can become addicted to, it affects and regulates their hormones in their brain and the GABA. So I was having a real tough time with seizures going into and coming out of sleep initially. That is what was affected by my brain tumor. So when I'd wake up in the morning, I'd wake up into a seizure because my brain waves were going from this delta state into a theta state into other states, and you're in between being fully asleep and being awake, but you're just kind of more suggestible. It's like a meditative state almost. That's when I would have my seizures. So at night, I would have a real hard time falling asleep. And when I would start to slip into sleep, I would start to have seizures or spasms, or just like my brain would fritz out. But for everybody, it's different. A lot of people take these drugs because of anxiety. They can't sleep. And I'm going to talk about in just a minute some ways to quell anxiety without medication. And it's really simple, and it just takes a little bit of work. So anyways, my neurologist at the time, who's no longer my neurologist now, because anybody that I think wants to go straight to pills before trying other natural options is somebody that you may want to be apprehensive about. You may want to try natural solutions, like looking at diet, exercise, mindfulness, lifestyle, etc., etc. But anyways, I started taking Klonopin, Clonazepam in 0.5 milligram pill. I'm like, 0.5 milligram? I asked the doctor, I'm like, I know about this stuff. I research everything I take. I don't like to take even Tylenol or aspirin. I don't like pills. I believe food is the medicine, medicine is the food. Hippocrates, I'm with them. So I start taking it, and voila, I'm going to sleep just fine. I'm falling asleep at night. I'm waking up in the morning, and I'm feeling a little I'm having a harder time waking up in the morning. I'm coming up slow, and this is because of the release of the GABA in my brain. But after a while, what happens is that your brain becomes accustomed to functioning with this medication. So I definitely started feeling cloudy and like hazy, and like I felt a little mood shifts in my day if my GABA flow was not going the way I wanted it to with these pills. And so I told the doctor about that, and I'm like, I'm fogged out all the time, and I feel a little mood shifts. Sometimes I feel angry, and this was also with other drugs that I was taking, but I know specifically that this is a major effect of benzodiazepine drugs. So the seizures were not subsiding. I was on 3, sometimes at points 4 different anti-epileptic medications. I've been on levetiracetam, which is Keppra, oxcarbazepine, which is also known as Triliptal. I've been on Vimpat. I've been on Dilantin. I've been on there's a number of other ones that just escape me, and I'm glad they do because they're all terrible. But you know, you do what you got to do. Bottom line, you do what you got to do to survive. You do what you got to do that you think you need to do, and you work towards doing better. But if you're like me, you really want to accomplish these goals, and I wanted to get off of the Klonopin. I felt like that wasn't a problem at the time. I didn't have withdrawal symptoms when I tried to stop it. I was just, the seizures were persisting because the dulling of the nerves, it really seemed to help, but this long dulling. So my other neurologist said, why don't you try Lorazepam or Ativan? And so, okay, shorter half-life, more quickly acting. And usually when I would take it, it would make me feel like a stimulant. I would kind of get boosted up, and then it would just calm me. It would stop a seizure. I'd actually be like convulsing, and I would pop one, and it would just stop. And then in about an hour later, I would just feel like zombie, Walking Dead. My balance and coordination was off. I was kind of in a drunken stupor in many ways. And I was at a point for a few years where I started taking this every day. And I kept a journal. That was one thing that helped me. And I would recommend this if you're really deep into it and you feel like you've tried getting off of it and you can't. Just journal your usage of it. Because if you start taking up 2-3 milligrams a day of Lorazepam or 1-2 milligrams a day of Clonazepam, then you might want to check yourself, because it does say on the medication that if you're taking it more than like a week straight every day, you need to consult your doctor. And the doctor was like, okay, it seems to be working good for you. Blah, blah, blah. You know, they see you once every 6 months for 20 minutes and they make those assessments, but you live with yourself every day, so you know, and your wise self knows that this isn't right. At least that's how I felt. And I'm like, well, I'm taking the balance. Do I want the seizures, or do I want to have to live with these symptoms of this medication? And so basically it's a model of living out of fear, because you are afraid of the worst of the two bad outcomes. So come to find out, you get both of the bad sides in the end, because your tolerance grows for these medications, or you just become acclimated to needing that amount every single day. And without it, your symptoms become worse than when you started. And that's how drugs work a lot of the time. Addictive drugs work that way. You become physically, psychologically, and psychochemically addicted to benzodiazepines. That's just the way it goes. And I have a close family member who had a therapist prescribe her 1/2 of a milligram of Clonazepam to sleep at night. Now, this person didn't have any medical issues. This person worked a lot and was stressed a lot, didn't manage their time in a way that was most beneficial to her. So what I recommend to do to get off of these drugs, because it's tough, it really is, and believe me, there's fallbacks, and you just have to get back up on the horse and try again if that's the case. Some people are much more sensitive than others to these kind of drugs. Some people can go off them cold turkey, but I can pretty much guarantee you that if you've been on any of these drugs consistently for a period of time, you're going to have withdrawals, and it's gonna suck to try to get off of them. And you're gonna think, I can't do this maybe, because look at what's happening when I do try. And I've been tried for like a week. What I suggest is you take it slow. You can't just jump off of it and say, I'm gonna fight through it and hold and hold and hold, because this is a very powerful and addictive drug. It controls a very important regulatory function of your brain. And this is not something to play around with. It's not a joke. It's not easy. So what I recommend is journaling. If you're serious about quitting, journaling every day how much you take, and just know, okay, this is how long I've been on this, and be cognizant of this. And also keep tabs on other choices you make in your life that affect your anxiety and stress and sleep. Now, I can guarantee you that if you do a couple of these things I'm about to tell you, you will find it much easier to taper off of Lorazepam, Klonopin, and other benzodiazepines. Now, again, I'm not a doctor, but just trust me here, because I never thought I would be able to get off of them, and I am completely off of them, and I've been off of them for almost 1 full year, and I am never going back. I don't care how bad the seizures ever get again. I would rather have a seizure. I would rather have a sleepless night than have to deal with this. But tell you what, I haven't had any sleepless nights since I started doing these following things. I'm going to tell you right now. 1, sleep is so important. And what I was not paying attention to closely beforehand was my schedule of sleep. We all operate in a circadian rhythm. We have a circadian biology. And what that means is when the sun comes up in the morning, our brain, our pineal gland, releases serotonin. Serotonin wakes us up. It brings us to life. Even if we're covering our eyes, once that sun is up, the energy of that sun, we are animals that respond to it. We are intended to wake up. You can close the curtains, you can shut the blinds, you can black out your room, and you can say, I'm a night owl. Well, in reality, human beings are not night owls. Human beings are day humans. So waking up with the sun and going to bed with the sun, because our pineal gland at night, as the sun goes down, begins to create serotonin. I'm sorry. Serotonin in the morning, melatonin at night. Same gland in your brain produces both of these depending on the amount of light. Natural light. What you want to stay away from is screen time in front of blue screens, television, cell phone, laptop computers, artificial lights around you. Think about the old days when they didn't have electricity. You lit a candle at night, you went to bed pretty early. People used to sleep 10, 12 hours a night, believe it or not. It's true. And they would do it in 2 segments. But anyways, sleep is important. Prepare for sleep. Allow yourself to wind down. Get away from a screen or a television or lights. Keep the lights low. Do some, number 2, mindfulness. This is one that I struggled with hard at the beginning. I'm like, I'm not doing yoga. I'm not doing breathing. I'm not doing any of that stuff. Well, let me tell you, calming down. Close your eyes before you sleep, not in your bedroom. Your bed is only for your sleep and, maybe getting it on if you have a special person in your life. But your bed is a sacred place, okay? You don't want to be watching TV in bed. You don't want to be even reading books. That's probably better than TV, but you want your room to be a place you go into to allow yourself to go into this restful state, to recharge and renew. It's a sacred space in your life. You spend 1/3 of your life there. So, before bed, deep breaths, relax. A book is fine. Reading a book actually can calm your mind, but it's best to just let your mind go and try to let go of thoughts. Don't worry about the next day. Don't fret over what you didn't do today. Let it go. Now, you're not going to be perfect about it. No one is. But just have a period of time before you enter your bedroom and after you've been exposed to all this blue light, your screens, your light fixture, low lights. I have a salt lamp that I have. It puts off negative ions. I like that, something calming. This time before bed is your opportunity to just reflect on your life and just be grateful for the life that you have. Be gentle on yourself. Be like, I am going to do this. I'll get there. Tomorrow's a new day. Thank you for this day. That's all. Close your eyes. If you can do 20 minutes with your eyes closed, some deep, slow breaths from your belly. You really have to make the time to do this stuff. Things like getting off of these drugs is not easy. But that's one step of it, is the sleep, the preparation, the consistency of sleep. It's suggested by many people that I have read, and from my own experience, to be in bed with the lights out by 10 o'clock. No electronics, just be in bed, lights out. Nice dark, cool room, and be up by 6 o'clock in the morning. I know that sounds early, but 10 to 6, that's 8 hours. And if you are lowering your level of anxiety, you're putting much less stress on your cells, and your body needs less restorative time. You'll feel wonderful. I always thought I was a night owl. Now I'm waking up at 5 o'clock in the morning, sometimes 4:30. I sleep in some days till 7:30. If I'm tired, we all get sick. We all get run down. We all feel stressed out. We all have real lives. Let's be real. We can't all be perfect. But to get off of benzodiazepines, sleep, relaxation, and that process leading up to sleep. Another good thing that helps to not be stressed is to make a list just before you go to bed at night, like what you're going to do the next day. If you don't want to stress about it, once you put that down on paper, you'll be surprised that you wake up and have everything ready, or have like your clothes laid out for you the night before so that you don't have to scramble in the morning. It saves you all that stress and anxiety. It's better to have it all prepared than to have to fret about it when the moment comes. So diet is another extremely important thing. You should be drinking half of your body weight in ounces of water a day. So if you weigh, like me, 140 pounds or so, that means half of that is 70. I should be drinking 70 ounces of water a day. So that's like a little bit over a growler filler. So like maybe 5 pints is plenty. But also you do get water in things you eat that are water filled. So if you're eating a lot of fruits and you're eating a lot of drinking a lot of herbal tea, stay away from caffeinated beverages as much as you can. And if you have to drink tea or coffee, drink it in the morning, not right when you wake up, because your brain is releasing all of those chemicals that wake you up naturally. Wait like an hour after you wake up to have your caffeine fix. But I recommend not being dependent on caffeine. And while that's a bold statement, right? In our society, we're the number one consuming nation of coffee in the world, even though we don't even make it here, grow it here, say for Hawaii. So yeah, eliminating stimulants, stimulating activities, things that keep your mind busy, let your mind settle. Great way is through breath. 8 deep breaths through your stomach, all the way up through your head and out. 8 of those series will significantly lower your blood pressure and significantly relax you. Whenever your mind is racing, it's always good to go back to your breath. It's a simple means of mindfulness, meditation, just to close your eyes and breathe. Look into something called box breathing. If you're interested, that's a great type of breath flow that's really simple to do. That helps. Diet is something that is very, very crucial. It's one of the big four, as I like to call it. Diet affects your mood. Like Hippocrates said, let thy food be thy medicine, and let thy medicine be thy food. What you put into your body turns into your cells. So you literally are what you eat. If you're eating processed junk food and sugar, you're going to be a constitution of junk food and sugar. So just eat good food. And if you can't eat good food, try a little bit of intermittent fasting. That worked wonders for me getting off of these drugs for seizures. Oh my goodness, I can't even tell you. Keeping all of my food within an 8-hour window. So I stop eating food by 8 o'clock at night. I don't want to have anything to eat after 8 o'clock at night because I'm going to go to bed at 10. I want 2 hours of nothing. I don't want to have a belly full of food and go to sleep with my gut full. Like, that might be okay for some people, but I recommend against it personally. So one big meal a day should be somewhere when you feel most comfortable, but I like to say anywhere between 5 o'clock and 7 o'clock is when I like to have my big meal of the day. And I love it. It's so rewarding when you're hungry and you have a great dinner. Something you're hungry for just about anything, and then you have some water, maybe some tea, and then you let your body relax. You want to give your digestive system a rest because you have a bundle of nerves in your stomach, a ganglia, that is like a second brain. And all of these microorganisms are working through your whole neurological system, your nervous system, to regulate how you feel and how you act. So if you're eating foods that are inciting highly acidic foods, or you're having stimulants and sweets and chocolates and junk foods and potato chips and high glycemic foods like lots of potatoes, you're probably not going to be able to quell your anxiety quite as much. You want to eat good foods, foods that you know when you eat you feel good, not comfort foods that mean you're using food as a way of quelling your anxiety, but food that actually makes your body feel good and gives you lots of energy and clarity. So stop eating foods, say for me it's usually before 8 o'clock, and then sleep all night. I wake up at 6. I do morning meditation. First thing when I get up in the morning is I will listen to a guided meditation, stuff with theta sound waves, kind of puts your mind in a state where you don't want to meditate in bed. You want to get up because bed is for sleep. Like I said, meditation is not sleeping. It's a state kind of in between sleep and wakefulness. So meditation, sitting quietly. You can just go sit out, look out a window. Even you don't have to have your eyes closed, but just a state where you're relaxed and not thinking about what you have to do. Just being present where you are and feeling grateful for your life, that you are going to quit these drugs, or that you have quit these drugs, because you can and you will. So food, exercise is another huge one. You want to get your body moving every day. A body at rest stays at rest. That's the law of inertia. A body in motion will stay in motion. You've got all of these fluids in your body, this lymphatic system, which holds toxins, which holds disease and old cells. And by moving, you're oxygenating your body. You're moving nutrients throughout your body. And with your breath, you don't have to go crazy. You don't have to go on a treadmill hard at a gym or do lots of weights. All you have to do is move. Fluid movements, Whatever it is you like to do, go out for a walk, move your arms while you're walking. Get in an hour a day of movement. If you can do more, great. Stretch your body out. Just feel into your body. Realize that your body is a beautiful gift to you, and you can and you will, through exercise, through diet, through mindfulness, and through proper sleep habits, you will be able to taper off of benzodiazepines. I did it, and I never thought I would. I also think living a life of gratitude is so important. Celebrate your wins and use your failures as lessons, because there really is no real failure. It's just a learning experience. And, scars and hard times make for great stories when you finally write your book and tell your story to the world about how you were able to give up a life with benzodiazepines. I wish you well, and thank you for listening to this very long video. I feel very passionately about this topic, and if you have any questions or comments, please hit me up. I'd love to hear from you. I wish you all the best. I know how hard it can be, but I also know how strong you are. Peace, y'all.